Chris Kenner, and welcome to the one-on-one of Pop Out. This is my version of Chr1s' Pop Out move. It's an awesome move. It's been around for many, many years. It's been published in many places. All I've done here is try to simplify it as best I can. I hope you enjoy it. Again, this is my version of Chr1s' awesome move, and I call it Pop Out. And here's what it looks like. So, welcome to the instructional part of Pop Out. So here's what I've done to this move. Basically, I've tried to streamline it as best I could. When I was a kid, I used to always see people do this move, and I would see them get that break with their thumb, and I hated that. So I kind of tried to eliminate that and make the Pop Out as simple as I could. So here we go. Let's jump right in. So let me give you a little quick overview of what actually happens when you do this. It's more of a little juggling maneuver, and it kind of takes a knack. So in a nutshell, you have the four aces already face up on the bottom of the pack. So they're already face up. And you're going to cut the deck in half, and you're going to get a break. So you'll get a break, and I'll explain all this in a moment. You're going to get a break between the ace and one of the packets in your hand, actually the one in your right hand. And then you're going to sort of flick that card out. And then again, this is like a juggling move, so this is just a little quick overview. Again, I'll go over this in detail. You're going to do a quick little juggling move, and you're going to flick it, and that card's going to fly out, spin a quarter of a turn, and you're going to catch it with the other packet by just snapping the other packet underneath. So something like that. So that's kind of a quick overview of what it looks like. And I'll do it one more time here. So again, I'm going to get a break, which I'll show you how to get that a little secretly, a little more secret. And then just give it a little basic toss, and the card will pop out. Just like that. So, let's get into the meat of it. All right, now that you kind of have a quick little overview of what's going to happen, let's get into it in a little more detail. So what you need to do is take your four aces. Now I like to put them in this order. Black, the ace of spades being the furthest one toward the bottom of the pack here. So black, red, and then those go on the bottom. Because I like the ace of spades to be the last one when I flick them out. So here's what you do. I give it usually a quick false shuffle, and that's just cut the pack in half to make sure not to spread these cards because there's face-up cards on the bottom. And now you just lift up anywhere above the aces and shuffle in, push together. Couldn't be any easier. So now you square it up. Now what you're going to do is I'm going to cut half the pack over to the right hand is going to grab the packet, and the left hand grabs the top and cuts over half the packet. So my second finger and thumb grab at the very edge, and then my second finger and thumb have the very edge of this packet that's now on the left side. So I'm going to angle them up just like this. So right now on my right hand, I've got the four aces on the bottom of this packet, and in my left hand, I've just got the packet held between my second finger and my thumb. Now it's very important to use these fingers because in a moment my forefinger is going to push down, and that's going to allow a couple of things. One is misdirection for getting the break, and the other is actually the pressure allows me to get the break. So now I'm going to act like I'm sort of squaring up the tops of the packets. So I really do that. I take my right hand and I tap on the left hand packet and square it up, and I do the same with the left hand packet. Now when I go back to do the right hand packet, both forefingers push down. So see that little bow right there? Not a lot. And as I tap, I'm going to give enough pressure right here to snap a card off. So you see the way a card is snapped off? Just like that. Now my thumb is going to catch a break between that card. But there's a tiny break. It's not a big one. A lot of times people in the past that I've seen do this move get a very, very big break. But I don't think you need it. A little tiny break is sufficient. So now you're going to do the move. Now the move is pretty simple. But again, it takes a little bit of a knack and a little bit of a little practice. So don't get discouraged. You just sort of tap the cards together. So this one has my ace, my break. Tap the cards together, and as you do, about the third time, you give it a little flick, and you let go of it. And at the same time, and again, you'll play with the timing a little bit, you're going to flick, the bottom packet's going to come up and touch the bottom of that card, that ace that's flying out. So again, I'm going to go flick, flick, and about the third time I flick this right-hand packet, let go of the ace, at the same time that this just taps the top, or excuse me, taps the bottom. So again, that's flick, flick, flick. Now it's very difficult to do slow like this. It's better, once you get used to the knack, it's going to be something that you'll do very quickly. So now you need to be able to get a break again. So what you do is, both forefingers again push down, and as you go over it looks like, what you want it to look like is this, that you're going to just set that card down. But in reality, what happens is, you've just produced the ace, and you've got no break here, no break. As you set it down, you push, and just like you did before, I'm going to flick a card off right here. So I flick off the ace of clubs. Now I'm going to give you a detailed view of this from behind in a second. So I flick off the ace of clubs as I'm setting it down. And now when I come back, I've got my break. And you just go right into the move again. And you do the same thing. Get a little break. Now you get another break. And you're prepared for the ace of spades, which is a little different. So I have a break right here. Okay. So now you're going to set the half down from your left hand. And your right hand is going to look like it just comes over and sets this down here. So about halfway to getting to the packet, you're going to give it a little flick and let go of the ace. And it's going to flick out like this, fly in the air, as your hand comes down and trap the ace just like that. So at speed, it should look like this. You come down, a little flick, you catch the ace in the pack. Now, as you do it, you're going to notice you're going to catch it here, you're going to catch it like this. It looks the best when you catch it at the very, very tip. And once you play with it, you'll actually get it more often than not. So it's real simple, it's just like that. And that, again, that'll just take a little bit of practice. Again, it's a very sort of quirky little knack, but it's not that hard to get. So let's take a good look at this from the backside. So here's what it looks like from the reverse side. So of course you've got your aces face up on the bottom already. Give it a little shuffle. Again, fake. The bottom stays the same. Square it all up. Now you're going to break the cards in half. And the left-hand half, see there you got this, and you're holding it again between your thumb and your second finger. Now you tap, tap. Now I push with both fingers, and as I tap here, I get a break. I flick that card off, and my finger comes down, so I've got a break. So I have a break here under my right hand. Now, again, you go flick, flick, and as you toss, you just let go. It's that simple. Now, as you go forward to set the card down, again, from the back, it looks like this. As you're setting it down, you flick. Now you get another break. Come back, do the move again. Set it down on the top of that one, flick and get a break. Third one, same way, flick, get a break. So now you've got a break under the ace. Set this packet right next to it. Now again, as you go to set this one down, you're going to flick it just a little bit and time it to where as that card lands right here, the card's set down. And that way that the card appears to have shot out of the deck sideways. So that leaves you with the ace of spades right here. Now if you're familiar with the hot shot cut, which is a pretty interesting move that you can do, is pick the packet up and just take your finger and give it a little snap, and you've got it already in the hot shot cut position, and flick it over to the other aces. So again, it's already sticking out of the pack. So if you get really lucky and it's in the perfect position, I just pick it up, put it in my hand, and you're kind of like you're going to point a gun. So I've got my second finger and my first finger here. Then you just take your second finger, give it a little spin, and it flicks out. That's essentially the hot shot cut move to get the card to pop out, which isn't really needed, but it's just a little something you can do. So just some final thoughts and tips. There's probably three major, I don't know, they're not really major, but there's three little problems you might run into as you're first starting to learn this. The first one being, as you do the move, the card just flies out and lands on the table. It's not really that big a deal. It happens to me a lot because it'll just, I'll be trying to do it. I try to really get it to pop out and I catch it on the corner. So I have them land on the table every once in a while. Not a problem. The other problem is when you do it, and let's say I'll just show you instead of trying to just explain it. But when you do it, I've got my break, and let's say I go to do the move, but I've caught it too early. So I've caught it, like say here. We'll get it further up. So I've caught it there. So it's not very far out. Let's say I've got it like that. So the way to remedy that is, since the bottom packet you just have the corner, as you see my thumb is right back here, contacts the card. You see my thumb on that back corner? I can push forward and then pull that back, and the pressure on the bottom will straighten that card out. So really you're just pushing the card forward. If you see, it'll kind of edge it forward like that. So I'll try to do that again. So we'll push it out just a little bit. And again, I push forward. One more time on just a little bit. Oh, there it is out. You can almost produce it like that. So if I'm not even going to do anything. I'll just sort of push the card forward and produce it out. So that's what happens if you can't get it. Another thing that might happen is this, and this has happened to me actually more than I share to admit. Let's say that I do the first move, get my break, produce the card, and I go down here and I can't get the break, or two cards pop out, which just happened. So two cards just popped out, so I have to readjust. So I actually come back, let go, so now I have no break. I didn't get a break. So at this position, you just do this again, and now get your break here. And then you go back to where your move is and finish up. So that's those things. The other thing that I think is very important is to try to keep the break as small as possible. Because again, since you have the cards and you're holding them at the very tips, you can see that break. So anybody from this side is going to see that break. And if you have it really big, I notice that a lot of times the card tends to creep forward like this. And it just kind of, once you've done this move 3 times in a row, it kind of reeks of, oh, the card's coming off the bottom and he's got a break. But if you do it really smooth and really pretty quick, I do this at a pretty quick rhythm, it kind of goes pretty unnoticed if you can get that break, quick enough. So all this is a lot of practice, and again, it's a kind of a timing thing. So you get the rhythm and you get the knack down, you got a really awesome production, and those are the final thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the pop-out move. We call it pop-out, and again, we want to thank Piet Fortin for coming up with this all those years ago. Thanks, Piet. See you next time. Here we are for the one-on-one for the SWE shift. This is one of my favorite and most fun moves to just have and practice when I've got a deck of cards in my hand, because it's one of those unattainable, impossible goals in Magic, and that is to do a move that's in the open, that has to happen super fast, and you want it to do it invisibly. It's kind of almost impossible to actually do, but it's kind of like the golf swing. You get that perfect golf swing. The one time you hit that ball just perfect and the ball flies exactly where you want it to go. Every once in a while, you'll do the move, and it'll look just like that. It'll feel perfect, it'll look right, and that gives you the sort of feeling to just keep practicing to that unattainable, possible, impossible golf swing, impossible perfect pass, impossible perfect SWE shift. So this is a advertisement, sort of in the middle of the one-on-one. It's not really an advertisement, but the SWE shift is out of a book called Expert at the Card Table, which is right here. This is a first edition copy of Expert at the Card Table. And inside of the book on page, I think it's 134, is the move, the SWE shift. So here it is right here. Starts right there, the SWE shift. Now, the reason that I am actually, this time, normally I wouldn't pull the book out that I'm doing a move from, but I think this is one of the most important books in card magic ever. It was written in 1902. It's an incredible book. It's got every move kind of the correct way, or the way that a lot of gamblers do them, and a lot of very serious card guys. They reference this. We actually call it the Bible. And ironically, Bill Kalush, if you don't know who Bill Kalush is, you should. Bill recently wrote a book called Houdini, I think The Secret Life, about Houdini being a spy. It's a great book. It's a very fun read. It's a pretty quick read, actually. You should pick that up because it gives you some insight on Houdini that you probably didn't know. So again, that's it's kind of weird to talk about at the one-on-one. But Bill, who is probably one of the best card handlers on the earth, he decided, since we all call it the Bible, he reprinted Expert at the Card Table, so it's available, pretty easy to get, like at your magic shop. They come like this in black. This one's in green, but I think mostly you can buy them in black. It's called Expert at the Card Table by S.W. Chr1s. Every person who takes card magic seriously must have this book. It's a must. So this is probably the coolest version of it because you can carry it around in your pocket. It's kind of fun. It's only like 15 bucks, and there you go. Here is now the SWE shift. So this is one of my favorite moves to play with when I'm just have a deck of cards in my hand, because it's kind of fun, and when you hit it, it feels so great. So when you do it and there's really not much noise, and you feel like it was fast and then it looked good, it just feels good. It's like, again, I mentioned that perfect golf swing where you hit the ball and it goes right where you want. It's the same exact feeling. And it happens like 1 in every 10 that you do. So, and then as you do it more and more, it becomes more often that you feel that feeling, just like practicing anything. So I have kind of an unorthodox way to do it. I don't do it exactly the way it was written in Expert at the Card Table, but it's obviously basically the same move. I just added a little tips and a few things that I do a little different. And I think it probably looks the best to explain it over the shoulder, so we're going to go over shoulder to explain it. Hi, I'm Dan. And I'm Dave. Not really, actually, it's just a mirror. Just a mirror. Wow. The reason I'm going to do this in the mirror is because it's a great way to learn this particular trick. And in a minute, I'm going to show you a way to use the mirror as a practice aid in this particular move. So I'm just going to really slowly and then quickly, a couple of times quickly, do the move so that you can see the mechanics from this angle, so you can see it both from the mirror and both sides all in one shot. So here we go. Here's the move. That is the move in a nutshell. Now let's go into how to get into it. Here's how you get into the break. From a spread, you have a card selected or looked at, and basically you can just show a card, turn it over. Now you're going to take the spread here and set it right on the fingertips. So you take that lower card here in the spread, set it on the fingertips. That way when you square it up, what happens is it leaves you in this position. It pushes the cards out. So there's no need to really hold a break with your pinky. You can just very openly hold the cards like this. So now you want to square it up a little bit so that this is only sticking out, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. And as you practice, you can make that smaller and smaller. So once you're here, now you take your hand and grab it in a bill grip, just like you normally kind of would in holding a deck of cards. And you twist it, so you're going to reposition it into your left hand. With your thumb, just like before, on the side, your forefinger curled underneath, your second ring and pinky on the edge. Now you're going to get ready to get your break, and that's that break under the pinky. So you come over here and you sort of lift up as you square, you push in, and that gives you that break. Now all you do is stick your pinky in there, so you're just like that. So the feeling of this grip is kind of interesting because really my thumb is putting pressure on the top, and my thumb is putting pressure here on the pinky. That's the two most important positions. But I still have pressure on these other fingers. And again, my forefingers curled underneath. Now, just because my hand is in this cradled position, that I have pressure on this lower pack, so it's still being held in place. Now, you want to try to keep it as lined up on the front as possible. Now, I do this in a pretty loose fashion because when I square the deck, I try to make it loose. So I very rarely do it from such a squared off position because you end up with this little line in the front because of the break. And the more you play with it, the smaller you can make all these breaks. So once you're here, the basics of the move. Now the way the move is written, it's written to where your right hand goes forward and kind of comes back and does most of the work. I do it the opposite way. I keep my right hand still, and my left hand does all the work. So I keep my hands very still, and I take my thumb and I move it up to the top edge of the pack. So it's right here on the top, because I'm going to pull this pack backwards and slide it underneath that lower pack. So to do that, I have to move my thumb here, because I can't pull the pack through my thumb. So I come here to the top. Now at this point, as you can see, I brought my hand over. So my right hand comes over and it grabs. Now I'm going to grab the top half, so I've got a grip on it. So now I've got a grip on it, and I'm only holding the lower half like this. Now I'm prepared to do the move. Now this is a little bit of pressure. So I put pressure down on my front fingers. So I'm basically putting pressure right on that little edge right there. So I put a little pressure down. And as I'm pushing there, I start to move this back. So this is going to come back. And it's very difficult to do this super slow. So as you can see, I'm pulling the cards back. And see how stretched my hand is? As soon as it clears, I square back up. And again, I have to make sure my finger stays curled underneath. Now, I'll do that a little faster. So again, you're in this position like this. You come over. Your fingers put pressure on the front. So right here, you've got the pressure on the front. So a couple of things happen. As this starts to pull back, a little bit of pressure. You see my forefinger curled back on the front, on the top here. And as soon as it clears, I put it underneath. So you want to try to, as little as possible, move that bottom pack. But you have to move it some, because at one point, it kind of becomes a loose object amongst this move. So here, right about here, it's kind of floating there. It's all about pressure. The pressure on these fingers pushing down, the pressure of my forefinger on the top pushing against the pressure of my forefinger curled on the bottom is keeping that pack in line. I've not really got a grip on it. And in the very brief second, I can, of course, move my thumb back here and move it back. So again, it's like that. And that very tiny, tiny, tiny little time, what was the lower packet becomes sort of a floating object. And that's kind of a difficult thing to control. So you just pull this back. So again, you see the move, we'll do it face up, so you can see it here face up. And you need a little bit of cover, a little bit of a shake. And as you get better to doing this, you'll do less and less of a shake, and it's more of a little wiggle. But the shake is basically as you come up, you angle the hands, and what you're doing is a couple of things. This is the angle of the deck to the audience, so the audience is seeing the deck at this plane. If I bring my hand up and I do the move, now this lower deck, it should be the top card. So if you notice, it's now at the same level, the same plane as it was before. So again, I'll do it slow. So if I was doing the move, I would bring my hand up and this one down. So it's a lot of motion in this hand, but really from the front, it should look like you just brought the cards up. Now, since you're kind of moving fast, you don't want them to notice this, obviously, this big giant movement that you're making. So you kind of have to cover it with a brisk movement. So that's your cover. And again, it's all about the pressures. So again, we'll go back to it here. Here's your break. Thumb, sides. Pinky break here. I come over. Thumb on the bottom. I'm grabbing the bottom packet here. Now, boom, that bottom packet's free. Again, I've got a good grip on the top one. Clears. Thumb grabs it, comes back. So and the more you do it, the less movement that you will have. And you will learn from watching it from the front and in a mirror and videotaping yourself where your parameters are. You can actually do it kind of slow once you understand the angle of the move. In the book, he also mentions, it seems like his hands in the drawings look like they're further over, which with practice, you can do it that way. You can get your pressures correct. But for me, I tend to pop the deck up too much when I try to move my hand over. And I just sort of naturally cover about half the cards. So that's the way I naturally grip the cards. So that's the basic move, the SWE shift. And I'll give you a practice tip, which I think is probably the best practice tip for this, and that's to do it using a mirror or a wall. So here, I'll do this using a mirror right now. So the mirror, what the mirror is going to act is as a wall. So obviously I cannot poke my hand through this mirror. It's a solid object. So what you do is, again, I say it's real important to keep this hand still. So that, again, all the movement is done using the left hand. So your left hand does all the work, and your right hand stays still. So your right hand stays as still as possible, and all it does is come up with the move. So as you come up, you do the move. But what you want to do is when you practice, is you put your hand against the mirror. Well, what that will do is it'll force you to not be able to move your hand forward. Because your natural thing, and especially if you have already played with this trick, you want to go forward and back. That's what most people do. They go forward and back, forward and back. And I think that it's such a big motion that to do it this way, it takes all the motion out of it. You're keeping this hand that they're really looking at locked still. So to practice, you put your hand against either a wall or a mirror. I like to use a mirror because you can see the move. So you can watch yourself do the move, and you can see, oh, wow, I can almost do that still like this. So and then as you get used to it, you can take your hand and run it up the mirror. So you get used to seeing and feeling what that feels like, and then now you can pull it away just a little bit, and that'll give you you can get a few invisible ones going in there. So that gives you the way to practice it using an actual solid wall or a mirror. So over the years, I've got a couple of different things that I do with it. And one of them that I do, which adds just a tiny bit of speed to it, is to start the move as your hands come together. So you have your hands in the position to do the move them away, and now as you come back, you kind of start to do the move with this hand. You're kind of pivoting it off, which allows your fingertips to touch as you come up. So it almost looks like you throw the deck into your hand. So it's brought up that quickly. I've done that way for quite a few years, and that's just one of the ways. But again, like I said, I normally just sort of practice it like this, one right after another. There's one more thing you can do it as a cut, a false cut. So to do it as a false cut, let's say you had the deck in your hand, like you pick the deck up, showed the deck, put it in your hand, and then cut half the deck to the table, and then the other half on top of it. The way to use the SWE with that would be, here's the deck, puts in your hand, get ready to do the SWE, do the SWE, and then set this deck on the table, and then put this one right on top of it. So you would just complete the cut. And it's, again, it looks great because it's like here, and then the other one goes on the top. So it's a kind of a cool way to do a tabled cut using this move. So I think that's kind of it for the SWE. The important things, again, are keep your hand still, practice that thing with a mirror, like that wall or the mirror. It'll feel weird at first, but it's a great way to force your hand to not go forward. And you'll realize how you naturally kind of want to go forward. So that'll break you of that habit much faster than just trying to break it naturally without using the aid of the flat surface. So I think that's important. And again, remember that it's kind of an unattainable thing, but occasionally you'll get that little flash of perfectness, and you'll feel like Tiger Woods. So hope you guys can be Magi Woods or whomever you want to be. And we'll see you next time. That is the SWE Shift. Hi, I'm Chris Kenner. I'm going to show you my impromptu rising card. It's called Chr1s, and there's a reason I call it Chr1s, and I'm pretty sure you can figure that out by yourself. And here's what it looks like. Got a pack of cards. Going to make a card rise. The deck a little shake. See the card coming up. Shake. Okay, so here's the method for Chr1s, and what makes it kind of cool and a little different is the fact that when you hold the deck and when the card rises out of the deck, all 5 fingers are showing. That's kind of what makes this a little bit cooler than a lot of impromptu rising cards. A lot of times it's covered by the other hand, or it's hidden and you don't see the pinky, but in this case, one hand's holding the deck and you see all 5 fingers. So I'm going to go from basically to the position of the card's already selected, and you've controlled the card, and you've controlled it so that you've controlled the card. We'll say it's the 8 of diamonds, and what you need is a break under the 8. But the thing that you have to do is the cards have to be in the upper third of the pack, and the reason is it'll make the card rising easier. If you have it in this lower section, you actually can't really get a grip on the card with your finger. Once you're here, what you're going to do is I'm going to show you this from here, which will be the underneath view. So naturally, you'd be holding the cards like this at your waist, basically. So what happens is, as your right hand comes over to cover, your pinky pushes that card out. So as you can see, the card is actually sticking out of the pack, just like that. Now you're going to cover that. Again, you have your right hand that has the grip of the cards. You can let go with your left hand, and now you reposition, and you take your fingers and you push over. So you angle some cards over so that they cover this card. So now you've got the card sticking out and these cards covering it. As you come up to show the deck before you put it in your hand to do the rise, you want to angle the cards a little bit towards yourself and to the right. Because if you angle them like this, they're going to see this card. So now it's putting it into your hand. You open your hand as wide as you can, and you're going to put it between this thumb joint and your forefinger, really deep in your hand. So it goes right there, and you pinch pretty hard. So I've got a pretty good grip right there. But I don't let go with my left hand. Now I open my right hand as wide as I can, and I put that card right there on the pad of my ring finger. So again, I'm as wide as I can. I have my fingers open. So as soon as I have it there, I know I'm in the position, I can let go. Now, these fingers are holding the cards. The ring finger is on the chosen card. So now, to make it rise, I'm going to shake it, and it's going to rise about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. And when it rises, here's what happens. The ring finger is going to squeeze, pushing that card up. Now, once it gets up a little bit, you stop. So you do your shake, and the card rises, and I stop. You've got your card sticking out. And you show it. And as you show it, you straighten your finger a little bit. And what that does is it allows your finger to kind of lower itself back into the position that it was in. So you don't look like you just pushed your card up. So you shake, and as you end that shake, you straighten your finger out. So what that does is that basically makes them think that your finger's in the same spot that it was. So now when you're here, you want it to rise up a little more. So you give it another shake, and again, you just push it up a little bit further, and you stop. Now the last rise, I do in a circular motion. So as I do this circular motion, I squeeze my ring finger as far up as I can toward my forefinger, as far as I can move it, and make the card rise. So while you do that, you go, let the card rise up. That is Chr1s. The thing with this trick for me is I don't do it that often, and I do it in circumstances where someone picks a certain card. So what I do is, every deck that I ever have, I have a breather crimp card. So I take a card and I put a breather crimp in it. So to know what a breather crimp is it's got an X in it basically. It's kind of bent. So if I take my finger, how I make a breather crimp card, we'll get rid of the deck for a second. I take my thumb and my second finger and my forefinger, and I'm going to squeeze the card like this. So I grab it at the corner, and I squeeze the card, and I push. And what that does is it puts a little bend in the card. Then I take the other angle, and I do it from this side. So I've got a little X in the card. So what that allows me to do is, no matter where it is in the pack, when I cut the deck, I can usually always cut to that card. So even if it's lower in the pack, I have no breaks, I can just cut to the card. I do a really sort of a rough force anytime I have a card selected. I always just say, hey, pick a card, and I try to make them pick the 10 of spades. But I don't do like one of these, hey, take that card right there, that one, ooh, okay. So if I get lucky and they actually take the 10 of spades, I have a miracle. I know they have the 10 of spades. So I give the deck to them, and I say, take your card, put it back in the deck. Okay, now shuffle the deck. Now they shuffle the cards. So now you've got a pretty good miracle, even if you just took the deck back and somehow produced their card. So you take it one step further and make it rise out of the pack, and you've really got a miracle. So now I do little faro cuts, so I'm just basically doing faro shuffles like this, and eventually what happens is I hit that 10 of spades. So here I hit it right here. So now I know where it is, again, just by doing my little faro cuts. And if you wanted, you could just say, look, your card could be anywhere, and you could just cut until you found the 10, and looking at it yourself. Any way you can to find out where that 10 is all you have to do. So once you know where the 10 is, in this condition, I'm lucky and it's actually right where I need it to be. If it was lower, too low, and I knew the 10 was half, I would just cut the deck, cut a couple cards off. So basically the 10 is about a third of the way down. You know, you can recap what's going on and say, oh, you selected a card, you put the card back, you shuffled the deck, you gave me the cards back, I've done nothing to the cards, and now you say, I'm going to show you a miracle. You make the card rise. So once you get here, you pop the break at your 10, push it out, and then you go right into the rise. A little shake, there's the 10, a little shake, all the way up. There's your miracle, 10 of spades. Bada swing. So an alternative method, if you don't want to use the breather crimp, is the simplest way, and that's just hold the deck like this. Basically, you're going to hold the break with your pinky in a second. It's a simple little sort of a riffle break kind of dealie. But instead of starting at the bottom, start in the center. That way you can get your break above the center. Say stop somewhere. They say stop. As they look, now you're going to take your pinky and just stick it right here. So you see your pinky right there is going to hold a break. Now when you grab the cards, just stick it out, move it over, and you're ready to do the move. Six of hearts. It's the miracle, true blue spectacle. Miracle, come true. Well, that is swing, and that's one of my favorite tricks to do if somebody just hands me a deck and says, do a trick. I can just do that pretty quickly. Just do the whole thing where you riffle through the card, bang, is that your card? Boom, swing, you're done. Get her done. Hello, I'm Chris Kenner and welcome to Simple Triumph. This trick has a bunch of roots, all the way from burning to row to card magic. Here you go, here's the basic effect of a simple with an F, because I don't say P's, so Simple Triumph. Take a pack of cards. We're going to start off with really simple, actually. All I need you to do is just name a card. We'll use, say, four of diamonds, perfect. I'll take the 4 and I'm going to bury it into the pack so it's lost in the deck. Now we're going to find the 4 in a pretty cool way. I'm going to take the deck, half of it, turn it face up, and shuffle it into the face down cards. So the card's a big mess, so it'll make it very difficult for me to find this card. But let's see if we can get it. We'll use our top card as a wand and just wave it over the cards. And if we're lucky, all the cards have turned back face up except for one card. Your card, the 4 of diamonds. And that is Simple Triumph. Okay, there is a basic setup, which you have to do obviously beforehand, and you don't want to do it right in front of them. And that is this: you got a deck of cards. You take the top half, turn it over, put it on the top, and then you take that top card that's face up, turn it over, put it here. Half the cards are face down, half the cards are face up, and you've got a face down card on the top. So from all intents and purposes, when you hold the deck like this, it looks like a face down deck. When you hold the deck like this and spread, it looks like it's face up. Now, I put them in the card case like that, take the deck, pull the deck out, say, here, let me do a trick for you. Pull your deck out. Now, I always want to try to let them see that there's a face down card here. Now you turn it over and set it in your hand. And you run through and say, name one of the cards that you see. They name any card, pull it out. Let's say we'll use the ace of diamonds. They say the ace of diamonds. So you pull it out and put it right on the top. What you need to do is you need to put this ace in the middle of this lower section. So here's my natural break, and there's my lower section down there. So what I do is I just lift up a little bit in the back with my thumb. I've got a biddle grip. And I just kind of lift up in the back, and I just lift up just a little bit because I don't want to show it or expose that I have a face down half. My thumb goes on the top of that ace, and I slide it out with the ace sliding onto that card. So you're hiding that there's a face down card there. So you lift up, cut, and just slide it over. And you want to hide that there's a face down card right there. And then you just drop it on top, and you're pretty much done. So what you've done now is this. You've basically cut your card that they've selected in the middle of the face down talon of cards. So at this point, all you're going to do is set the deck down. So you take your hand, you're in a natural dealing position, and you just turn it over, set it back down on the table. So, boom. Leave it squared. I let it sit there for just a second. And now what you're going to do is you're going to reach over with your right hand and lift up on the natural break. So what that means is, where you've got the cards face up, face down, right here, since the cards have a bow to them, there's a break that you can naturally lift up. So you just naturally lift up right at that little break. And if you want to check yourself, you can look. And if you see a face down card, you know you've got it. If you've cut face up, you're kind of going to ruin the effect. So you want to be very careful. So I kind of just tilt the cards like this to myself, see that I'm here, and I know I'm good. But for the simplest purpose, you cut at your natural break. So you cut right here. You pull that side over. And again, I stop right here for a little brief second. Let them see the situation. Now you turn over as the lower half, the side that is face down. You give it a little spread. So you flip it over, spread it. So all you have to do now is just shuffle the cards together because these are already face up except for the chosen card. I just come over, give them a quick little riffle shuffle. Leave them sticking halfway out. Now your trick is done. Your trick is over. So you, as clean as you can be, you push them together. Now you take the top card off, say you use it as a magic wand. You can give it to them to use as a magic wand. You can do whatever you want. You can wave it over, drop it on the top. Now if you take the deck and spread it, all the cards are face up, except for one card, the Ace of Diamonds. Simple triumph. Alrighty, here are a few tips and tricks and a few things that you can do to make this easier. If you can't do the one move that's in the effect where you've got the pack face down and you need to cut the card in there, like that, there is an alternate idea that's actually much simpler to do. Pull it out of the box, spread through, have them name a card. Let's say that they name the Ace of Clubs. If you take the Ace of Clubs, I'm going to bury it into the deck. And now you just put it in the lower section of cards and square it up. Myself, I like cutting the card into the pack because that sort of reiterates the fact that all the cards are face up and that the cards lower are face up. But it's still just as good to take the card and stick it right in that section of face down cards at the bottom of the pack. And then you just finish the same way. So you're in the exact position you were in. Turn them over, shuffle, and you're done. Now, another thing that you might want to do, and this is if you have any trouble with this, there's a couple things you can do. If you cannot cut to the natural break when you're set the cards down, that natural break of cards, that bow where the cards are face up and face down. A couple things you can do there, and one is before you start the trick, right before you do your setup, start with your deck all face down and bow the cards. Give the cards a nice bow. And now when you set your cards up, I mean, you can't miss that at all. And another thing that you can do, if you want to, it's not really cheating, but if you want to just really make sure, right here, you can turn the deck to you and look at it. Look at the edges and see the break. So I see that natural break is right there. And cut it right here. So put your hands together and just look at it. Give it a little step right before you set the cards down. And that way you've got a natural break. You can just cut your cards over and square them up. So again, after you've had the card, put it in the deck, just turn the deck sideways so you can look at it and just give yourself a little step. But obviously you don't want to do it that way. You want to, set it down and shuffle away. And another thing you can do if you're doing this for just one or two people, so they can never see the cards as they're shuffled, this packet as you're doing that. Instead of shuffling like this, leave this in this plane so they can't see, they can't possibly see, and shuffle this one into it. So you just reposition the way you shuffle. That way there's no way they can see the indices riffling like that. I'll do it if the person was standing here. Then you would just point this right here so the camera can't see me riffling, and I shuffle. Then you're done. So that is Simple Triumph. I am Chris Kenner. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you again next time. Here we are for the one-on-one for Slipshot. This is a pretty cool Ace production. It's actually 3 different ones. When I was a kid, I'm a kid like 13, 14 years old, I learned a Ace production that was very, very popular in the 70s. I think it was based on the John Benzais Ace production. And that was you just held the deck and shot the aces out one at a time as you split the decks in half. And then I saw another variation of it, probably still in the 70s. And I always wanted to do it face up, so I came up with a version that's face up. So you get to learn all 3 versions here. Here is Slipshot. So to do a slip shot, all you need to do, or pop and lock, what does slip shot, slip ace shot, slip aces, ace slip, slipperoo, slip slip, slippity-doo, slip shot. I think that's the name of it. To do this, all you need to know is one thing. The reason it's called slip shot is because all you need to do is a slip cut. And a slip cut is very simple, and here's how it works. So this is the basic move. You don't ever really complete a slip cut when you do this trick, but here's what it is. So if you've got the aces on the top, they will always stay right there. You never really cut the deck at all. So what you're going to do is you're going to break the card just like you would to do a cut. So if I were to cut over and take the top half in my left hand and cut it over to the right, if I want to do a slip cut, what you would do would be you would start your cut, you would put your forefinger on the top card, and as you pulled over, you would slide that top card so it would stay on the packet over here. That's called a slip cut. Now in this particular move, we're never going to actually complete this slip cut. We're only going to start the move, come back, and then do our production. So I'm going to show you a detailed version of that over the shoulder. So here's what a slip cut is. Again, you're going to grab it with your left hand, and you're going to take the top half, and your forefinger is going to go on the top card. Slide it over, and that's how you start your slip cut. Now in this move, we're never going to complete the cut. So we'll put our ace back on the top here. So what you do is, you come over to the deck. Now I give it a quick little false shuffle. You should almost always do this before you do the move. And you don't try to do a fancy thing. You just cut the deck in half. This is the aces. And you just shuffle and don't shuffle the aces. So it's just, that's not much of a false shuffle, but at least if you don't call any attention to what you're doing, it's pretty good subterfuge. So now here's the move. You're going to come over here, and just like I said before, your left hand takes the top half, pulls it sideways, and you start your slip cut. But at the same time that you do this, as soon as you've cleared a little bit, your hands come back. So you see you've got a little X. So, but you're really like this. That top card is loose. So now, as you go like this to spring the cards, you're going to let go of your forefinger and shoot your forefinger forward just a little bit. So you'll come back. I'll do it slow. It's a very difficult move to do slow, but I'll come back and go forward, and the card will shoot out. So again, you come back. This is slow, so I can't shoot it very far, and you go forward. Now, as you get used to it, you'll come and you'll give it a nice little shot to shoot out. So here, we'll do it a couple times here. Come back. And that's the basic move. So the move is not difficult at all. It's just a little knacky. Because sometimes your finger will catch multiple cards, or you'll have a hard time with a slip cut. And the slip cut seems like a simple thing, but it's actually, to do it perfect each time is just kind of tough. And also, if each ace doesn't pop out exactly as you want, don't get discouraged. Just keep going on. So from the front, look at it very closely. And I'll do it very slow, and then I'll do it at speed. So again, my aces are on the top. I come back and go forward. And again, slowly, very slowly, I come back, slip cut, and I release. So at sort of at speed, it's like that. And that was the infamous triple. I was thinking of those two cards. So the second version is another version that's pretty cool. And the first time I saw it, I was actually in Chicago at the round table, and I was playing around with the original one. And Ed Marlowe goes, "Hey, have you seen this?" And he did it this way. And I'm not sure if it was his or if someone had shown it to him, but he was definitely the first person that I saw do it this way. So here's that version. And it's, again, it's a little quirky. It's the same basic move, and it's a little different finger placement, and you never cock the cards back. That's the key. So in the original, you do a slip cut, cock back, and throw the card out. But in this one, it's all done with this finger flicking. So all you want to do is you want it to look like you just pulled the cards apart and that card flew out. So that you see that's the motion exactly like that. Now the key to this is understanding when to release the card. So I think the best way to show this is over my shoulder. So we'll go to an over-shoulder shot first. So the second one, which I think is actually maybe the best one of them all you're going to do is going to look like you just did this, and in doing that, one card shot out. Now the way that it works is, it's the same thing. You do your slip cut, but this time, instead of pulling the cards back, you just pull them out like this, and you use your forefinger to flick that card forward. So you can't really do it slow, so you get the idea. It's just as you come to here, as right as you get about here, so as the cards are almost going to complete their split, that's when you kick that card out. So let's put that back on the top. See if I can do it slow. So it's here and that. And you continue with your cut, and then you just put the cards right back. So it's here, and just as it's about to get there, it looks like it just comes from nowhere. Now, obviously, I'm doing it slow, and the more that you practice, the harder you can flick the card out, and the more that it looks like it just shot straight out from nowhere. So again, there's no breaks. It's just here, and as soon as it gets to there, you flick, and it'll pop straight forward. So that's that one in a nutshell, and I'll try to do a couple here at speed. So some quick little tips on the second version, which is one of my favorite versions, and that is to you have to play with it. It's a little knacky, it's a little quirky, and you want to figure out the best timing to shoot your finger out. So the best time when you pop that card off. You'll find sort of a little sweet spot in the card with your forefinger. So as you pull it off, you want to make sure that it's loose, so there's air here, and then bam, you pop that card off. And again, you can really get a good shot, and it looks the best when it just looks like this, so that you just pull the cards apart, and you can get that feeling like that, where you just pop the cards apart and it shoots out. So, and the harder you pop your finger, the farther you can get the card to go out. And depending on your table, you don't want to shoot them too far. Obviously, you don't want to fly them off the edge of the table. So that's the tips on that one, and that's a jack. Thank you very much. So this is version 3, and the reason that I came up with this is I kind of revisited this move, I don't know, in the mid-'80s, and I would always hear people say, like magicians, lay people would never, of course, say this, but magicians would always go, well, why don't, it's not face up. If they shot out face up, it'd be better. So I kind of played around with it, and this is what I came up with to get the cards to come face up, but off the top. So they're not off the bottom, they're actually off the top. So it's the same exact slip cut, but your finger position is completely different. So I'm going to go over it from the front, and then we're going to go again over the shoulder. So here it is from the front. You've got your aces on the top. The move is pretty simple. Now you're going to do the same kind of a slip cut move, but if you'll see, this is your normal slip cut position. What I'm going to do now and this is a little bit knacky, I'll do the slip cut with my finger at the very tip. So I'm going to pull the card out and see this card is right here. So in other words, instead of being here, it's at the very tip, touching my second finger. Now to do the move, all you do is you pull the cards back a little bitty bit in the left hand, and then you flick forward. So it's kind of a quirky thing, so you just pull it back, and then you come back a little bit and flick forward, and that card pops off face up. So here we are over the shoulder, and again, you grab the deck, you got your second finger on the edge, and your forefinger touches the second finger, so it's pinching, it's just like that. Puts a little pressure, so you start your slip cut, and I pull back just a little bit, and when you first practice, you may need to come way back here and actually flip the card over, which was actually the original thought on it, which is I wanted to come here and flick it and catch it in the pack. but I could never get it very consistent. So I ended up doing it with a little more force. So your finger goes here, go to here, pull back a little, which is a little bit of pressure. And see, as you can see, it's going to pop off of my thumb also. Back under there. Just like that, and it pops forward. Now again, this is not a move that you can do very slowly. So it's here, here, and there. And again, it's just a little bit of a flick with those packet. And see, that's with my forefinger's not there, that's what happens. So with my forefinger there, it just pops it up, and it should flip it face up. So that's the basics of the move. And I'm going to try it again to do it as slow as I possibly can so you get just where the fingers are. So it's here, forefinger here. You go to pull out, do the slip cut, comes back a little bit, and flicks the card forward. Now the key to this is that you don't want them to you don't want to do it in sections. You don't break it up and go here. It's not like you break it up and pull it out, push it here, and then flick the card out. It needs to be kind of one thing, like you pull it and flick it at the same time. So that you pull it out and flick it. Pull it out, flick it. And that's the basics of that third version. Here's 2 tips of things that I used to do with this that magicians would always shake their head. But the funny thing is it was more of a fact that I would use them to fool themselves. If you ever give a magician a deck of cards and you tell them to shuffle it, watch and see how they shuffle the cards. Because they almost always do the same thing. So if you give them a deck of cards and they shuffle, like they grab the deck and they overhand shuffle it, and they take a chunk of cards and then shuffle the cards, that means that they did not disturb the top portion of the cards. So if you were to run through the deck, the 4 aces would still be together. So if they're the kind of person that, we'll take the aces out for a second. If they're the kind of person that run a couple of quick cards and then just toss the bottom packet off, that means they did not disturb the bottom half of the pack. So I used to always do this with this move. This is like years and years ago, but funny how magicians were fooled by this. So if they were the kind of person that shuffled a big group, which is normally that person, then I would put the aces on the top and say, hey, do me a favor, give the card just one quick shuffle. And they would give it one quick shuffle, which put the aces together in the middle of the deck. And I would take the deck back, and I go, I didn't want you to really shuffle them. And I would spread through and find the aces and just cut them to the top. I didn't want you to really shuffle them, and then just sort of break the packet, put them back on the top. Now, I would give them a false shuffle, which is just this. So no big deal. And you don't go, watch me shuffle the cards. You just cut the deck, shuffle, but keep at least these 4 cards on the top. And now you go right into this move and produce the 4 aces. So that's kind of a all 4 at once version, which is a little bit more knacky. And you can get it if you try to do it that way. But again, that's just grabbing all 4 cards, like a 4-card slip cut, and popping them all out at once. And other than that, I think there's not a lot of real tips here. It's just keep practicing and just play with where your finger positioning is. And there's a lot of different variations you guys will all probably come up with this move, because the way that flourishing has come about these days, I'm sure you're going to have the cards flying through the air and bouncing off of the people and bouncing back into the deck, and you'll do like the hot shot cut with the aces as a one-handed reveal with the 4 cards and stuff. So guys, one last thing. If you ever need any extra special advice, just always ask your Swami.
I think someone wishes my advice. You are too close. Step back a bit. Now I can see you. Always remember, a conscience is what hurts when all your other parts feel so good.
And that's pretty much the advice I live by. Slip shot. Hi, I'm Chris Kenner, and this is 3-fry from my book Totally Out of Control, which is based on a trick that I published in 1985 in a book called The Right Stuff. What it is it's a really good, simple 3-coin vanish, and it can be done, I use silver dollars, it can be done with half dollars, but it's a very good lesson on coin magic. It's got a few palms in it, it's got a classic palm, a finger palm. It also can teach you body language and timing, and it's also not that difficult to do. And it can be done as a quick trick, and you can also do it and milk it for a little bit more time. So here's the basic presentation for 3-fly, and here's what it looks like. Here we go. We've got 3 old silver dollars. That's pretty cool. If I take these guys, give them a squeeze, first coin disappears. Try that again. Another squeeze. And the next one goes. One more coin to go. Nothing funny. Just a little squeeze. And the below. That one's gone. Let's bring him back. There's one. Take that. Split it into 2. There's the third one right here. 3-fry. Hi! Domo arigato. Hi! 3-fry. Oh, 3-fry. This is 3-fry, the explanation. This actually is going to seem a little more complicated than it is, but once you play with it for a while, you realize it's actually broken down to a pretty simple couple of basic moves. You need 3 coins, and I use silver dollars. You can do it with half dollars. It's actually easier to do with half dollars, but I like the fact that anytime I use coins, I think it's kind of as a rule, if I can use silver dollars, I do, since they're bigger, and I'd rather people see the more people that can see it, or the bigger that the object is that you're vanishing, the better the trick is anyway. So if you can do it with silver dollars, why not? Bigger is better, in this case anyway. The first thing that you're going to do is a friction palm into a classic palm to vanish the first coin. Okay, so you've got 3 coins, and they start held in a fan in the right hand. And what you're going to do is toss them into the left hand. And I do it the first time, and I actually toss them into the hand as I'm just kind of chatting. And then I come up, fan them, show them again. I want to get them used to the fact that I've tossed the coins in my hand. You're now going to take the coins, and as you show them, as you come back, what's going to happen is the lower coin in a fan is going to be held on the fingertips. So it's going to stay, it's like a friction palm, it's called. So as I toss the coins forward, I hold this coin on my fingers. It's a Benzeus friction palm. And it's really simple. You don't try to make a move out of it. You just lean back, and as you see, I take my finger, my ring finger, and I cock the coin just a little bit back. So I show the coins. As I come down, I cock them back, and I toss these coins into my hand. Now what happens is your left hand turns over, and I squeeze and say the first one goes. And as I open my fingers, that's when I palm the coin. And the reason that you do that is you don't want to do this, palm the coin, and then open your hand, because they'll be looking at your hand. So you want the natural misdirection of you opening the hand to reveal the coins vanished. And to palm a coin, if you don't know how to palm a coin, it's basically, as you can see, it leaves a little ring here. So between the pad, right here, this pad and this pad, the big giant pad of your hand, it's kind of held in there. You can hold your hand you hold it as basically as flat as you can hold it. Now, I try to keep my hand natural, so I don't try to, I'm not one of these people that has to try to do this with their hand. So when I have the coin palm, I'm moving my fingers and keeping my hand natural at the same time. And a thing about palming the coin that is pretty important too, is a lot of people when they palm a coin stick their thumb out, which is a telltale giveaway. Hey, look, it's like from the front. You know, look at me, hey, woo, hitchhiking, hand palming a coin at the same time. So what I do is I kind of keep my fingers together, my thumb and my forefinger together as I palm the coin. So again, in a quick little recap, just toss, squeeze, first coin goes, and as you do that, you put the coin in your palm. And I also use my ring finger to force it up there, and then my second finger comes and gives it the final push. Once I palm the coin, I go straight to pick these up. So the motion is just kind of like you relax back, palm the coin, pick one up. So you've got 2 coins. Now you take and hold the 2 coins at the fingertip of your right hand. You're going to do the exact same move you just did, and this is the only difficult part of the entire trick. You're going to do a clink pass, like a click pass. This time, it's supposed to look like this. This is what you're replicating, throwing the 2 coins across. So it's going to look like that. But what really happens is you pivot that coin back a little bit, and you're only going to throw 1. But at the same time that you throw that 1, you let pressure go of your palm, and this coin is going to hit this one. So it does that. And that sound from the front looks like it comes from here. So again, the second one, you've got a coin palmed, and when you toss the coin over, you hold the coin back with the friction palm on these tips of these two fingers, and as you toss it, that coin lands on the hand. And as soon as that coin lands on the hand, I do the same thing that I did before. I turn this hand over to go to show the coin has vanished. And in the misdirection of that and that, you put pretty good pressure on these two coins on the edge, and you push back with your hand, forcing them into your finger joint right here. And then as soon as it gets there, you flatten them out with your thumb so that it's in the finger palm. And I finger palm the coin with only the ring finger. I really don't hold the coins with any other fingers. So you're left in that position. Now the last one, you reach up, grab it at the fingertips, and you're going to do a Ramsey vanish. And the Ramsey vanish looks like this from the front. And from the back, it looks like this. You take your thumb, and like you're going to take the coin, like you would naturally take the coin. But what you do behind this is your thumb, you're going to pivot the coin like this into your hand using your thumb. So you come across, pivot it, and try not to move your front fingers as you're pivoting it. Pivot it, then I move my finger back up and go to take the coin like I just took it at this fingertip. And as you do that, now what you're going to do is just slowly and soft as you can put that coin flat on the other coins, just like that. And as soon as it's flat, you just slide them together. So from the back again, it's here. Coin's gone, and I almost immediately I reproduce the coins. And again, I want to try to do it as silently as possible. So what happens is I go here, I say, oh, I'll bring them back. And I take my thumb and push just a little bitty bit up, which allows my forefinger to clip that coin. And now it's clipped between the forefinger and second finger. Now I have to just put my thumb under it, and that allows not a lot of noise. It kind of takes the noise factor out of it. So produce the first coin. I throw it in my hand and I let it land right on the finger palm position. Because what I'm going to do here is a little fake transfer. I'm going to take these two coins and I'm going to pick them up like they are this coin. My thumb goes on top of these two coins right here, just like this, pinching them. My fingers open up and I put my two hands together like I'm picking this coin up. I rotate my hands and I try not to flash these two coins to the front. And I immediately put them at the fingertips of my left hand, and I'm finger palming that coin. So it's just a little transfer. It looks like this. And as soon as I have them here, boom, my hands change positions, and I act like I split them in two. So the basic move there is real simple. There's two coins together. You just take one in each hand and scrape them together to make as much noise as you can. Now, to produce the last one, it's very, very simple. You immediately take the coin that's in your left hand, put it with the coin in the right hand, and produce the last coin by pushing it forward. So you just, from here, push forward, set it in your little fan, and that's the end of the trick. Here's a couple of tips. I'm going to kind of run through the tips as I go through the routine. I like to do this trick quick. You don't have to do it quick. You can pause a little more in between each beat. But for me, unfortunately, I think that whenever I see a coin trick, it becomes a hide a coin kind of mystery to the audience. They're just looking to where the coins are palmed or hidden in your hand. So 3 coins. Now, again, one of the big tips is the first thing you want to do is toss them into the hand and show that, get them used to seeing that. So I'll do it for real this time. I toss them in, squeeze, and then I vanish I palm the coin. Now here, you want to be aware of where this coin, the one that's in your palm, where it will flash. So I kind of turn my body a little bit. This is where body language comes in. So I make a kind of a big gesture, oh, I'll do it again, or say something to draw a little bit of attention to you. Do your move, squeeze, and then you palm the coin. But again, when you palm it, make sure that you have your finger and thumb together. That'll keep your thumb from sticking out. So once you're here, you've vanished, you've got the 2. Again, you be very aware of where you're flashing this coin. Because on your left-hand side, they can kind of see into the palm. So you have to kind of understand where your people are and block your hand a little bit by twisting your hand or your wrist. Just be aware of who you're doing the trick for. Whenever I do the end vanish, so when you do your end vanish, I always like to immediately produce the coins. So once you've vanished the coins, I don't want them to think, There is only one place for the coins to be. They must be in that hand. That's where they are. He just showed this hand empty, which is the truth. So it looks like this, and again, it's this fast. Last coin goes. Actually, there's one. I can take that one, split it into two. There's the third one right there. Alrighty, that was 3 fry. And if there's one thing that's the most important about that, it's to be natural. So try not to be like the robotic, this is the coin, I will make it disappear, coin 1, there's 2. So just try to be more flowy, natural, use your body a little bit, and you'll have a lot of fun with it. Enjoy. Hello, I am Chris Kenner, and welcome to the one-on-one of Unicoin, a tribute to Ross Bertram. Now, when I was a kid, about 16 years old, I was very lucky. I had a chance to see Ross Bertram perform. Ross fooled me with quite a few things when I was a kid, and 2 of the things had a really big influence on me. And this is my version of one of those effects. And the things that I liked about Ross's methods were they were very unorthodox, not like your normal coin tricks where it's basically just palming a coin, hiding a coin, and doing a shuttle pass. He had very strange methods, very bold methods. So here is my version of Ross Bertram trick, and we call it Unicoin, a tribute to Ross Bertram. So all you need are 4 old coins, or 4 coins. This is where 4 old half dollars, old 50-cent pieces. If I put them in the left, give it a squeeze, give the right hand a squeeze, the first coin jumps across. Give it another little squeeze and a shake, the second coin jumps across. Now if you watch, you can see the third one go. Do you see it go? Oh, sorry, because I just sort of threw it across. Now, I wouldn't do anything funny for the last one. No, I didn't do anything really. It's still here. It's going to jump from here to here. Again, a little squeeze. This time they all disappear from here and go right back. Join their little buddy. That is Unicoin. So basically all you need are 4 coins. My 4 coins happen to come from the magical Candy Mountain area. So you can use anything, old half dollars, old silver dollars. So here we go, you've got 4 coins. Now the first move in this trick is basically what you're going to do is you're going to toss the coins from one hand to the other. So you're going to put them in the left or the right, toss them into the left. But you need to hold back 2 of the coins. So the way I do it in that is I'm going to purse palm the coins, 2 of the coins, and that means that I'm going to hold it, like if it's balanced on my second finger there, I'm going to pinch it between my ring finger and first finger, so it's called a purse palm. So I do that, though, with 2 coins. So I don't make any bones about trying to have them land in that position. I just set them right there. So right here on my second finger, I take the coins and I'm going to balance them on my second finger like this, one on top of another, starting with the lowermost coin toward the fingertips, the uppermost coin of that little sort of stack spread toward the palm. So from this point, what you're going to do is it's supposed to look like you toss the coins in your hand, but what you really do is this. I take my second finger and I squeeze in like here so that it squares up those 2 lower coins. At the same time, my first finger and ring finger open up and they sort of pinch the coins like that. Now, I'm not relying on the pinched part to hold the coins, I'm relying on my finger. What happens is as they touch the sides, they sort of square those coins up. Looks like 1. But your hand is now closed, and I let it fall a little bit to the side. So as a natural movement, it's going to look like this. Here's 4 coins, toss them into this hand falls to the side naturally. And again, I've got it in a very loose grip between these, and then it's kind of still held by the second finger. So now I shake my left hand, I hear the coins a little bit, there's only 2 in there. Say the coins are going to go from the left hand, if I give it a squeeze, to the right hand. So I give the right hand a squeeze, still keeping everything kind of knotted up in my hand like this. And as the first coin goes, now I'm going to open my hand up just like this and leave the coins, again it's pinched here, all this is doing is lining up the coin. So you're lining the 2 coins up, and you're showing that 2 coins together, like that, but from the front, looks just like 1. So you try not to show them the edge so they see the coins. So that's why I point the coin at my spectator. Now you close, you say the second one goes, and you just sort of squeeze your hands. And now you're going to show and reveal these coins, but you don't want to reveal them too close to each other as the second coin goes. So you don't want to go like this. The second one goes, and it's sitting on top of the other coin. So what you need to do is as you shake your hand and say the second one's going to go. So from here to here, the second one goes. Now I take my thumb and I push it so it's completely off of the other coin. And then give it a little shake so they see they're both real. So the second coin goes. So that's part 2. Part 3 is the easiest. All you do is you take your thumb and put it on top of one of the coins in your left hand, just like this. And you say, watch, you can almost see the third one go. You just toss it over and catch it. It's so easy, I dropped it. You say, if you watch, you can actually see the third one go. You just toss it across and catch it. That's it. No move, no nothing, you let them see it. And then, you say, did you see it go? Well, I hope so, because I just tossed it across. That's kind of a strange method for the third one to go across, but that's what we're using in this trick. And there's a reason for this, which I will explain in a recap. I'm going to go through why I do each move the way I do it, giving you a little sort of psychological reason for why I do it all. So that'll explain that method to you a little bit. And let's go into the last one. Now you have to get ready to put these coins into this hand. This coin is going to always kind of stay in the finger palm position. That's just so you control it and know where it is. And now these coins are going to get clipped between your second, like all these weird clip vanishes back in the day. It's going to get clipped between your first finger and second finger. So you go from here, and they're in a nice little spread. You try to get them to where they're not, too far spread apart. So you kind of get them close to each other, sitting in the very tips of your fingers. Now I try to balance them kind of. There's not really balance, but it's sitting on my second finger. My thumb goes on that. My first finger goes here and just clips it just like that as I turn my hand over. And you don't want them to see you go like this. You don't want them to ever think that you have the coins clipped. So you're here. Now you say the last coin has to go. That one's a little bit easier. Now I usually just do this, where I'll close the hand, bring the hands together, and you don't do anything. But you want them to go, oh, he did something right there. So at that point, when you do this, you don't do anything. You go, oh no, it's still there. So you show the coin. Now, as you close the hand, but you make a really loose fist. So I'm not closing into a tight fist. I make a loose fist. I'm going to take this hand, and I'm going to just jam those coins right in there. Now, since that's in the finger palm, and the meat of your fingers is around this, you want to not hit that, obviously, when you stick it in there. So you take these, and as you come over, as soon as your hand gets close, this hand rotates. This hand, I'm going to do it very openly, this hand just takes these coins and sticks them in, and now your hand just squeezes this pad of the hand and these fingers wherever the coin lies, because it might sometimes hit your pinky, sometimes hit your ring finger. Depends on how it is, where it is when you jam it in there. But you do it fast. So you come here, go like that. I just jammed them in there. Take your hand out, and then you take your thumb and you tap at this hand. So in real time, it's like this. Here's my clipped coins. Do this. This coin go from here to here. Now I just put the coins in that hand. So that's how it looks in real time. One more time. So you're from here. The last one's gone. The third one goes. Did you see it go? Well, I hope not. I hope you did, because I just tossed it across. Actually, the last one's going to go. Oh no, I didn't do anything yet. Really, this one's going to go from here to here. Give it a squeeze. That's the magical unicoin. Okay, a couple of things about this trick. The first one is the first coin toss-over, where you hold back 2 coins. I have sort of changed this method-wise 4 or 5 times over the years, and I still go back and forth to whom I'm doing it for and where I'm standing, and it all depends. So here are the different methods that I have to hold the coins back, as opposed to just doing this one, which is a little more difficult to do, actually, the one that I taught, where you clip it, and then you show the coin, then push it forward. That's a little bit more difficult. So the other methods are this. you take the coins and you put them in a spread. You don't really care. There's not really much of a care where they land. Now, all you need to do is now I let them sort of fan themselves backwards on my hand, and I take my thumb and I put it on the top coin, and I lightly pull it up to here. And now what you do is, as you go to toss them, you toss the middle coins into the hand. So from the front, it looks like this. Here's my coins, toss them into my hand. And then this hand just goes to a natural, relaxing, sort of relaxed position. But what you don't do is you don't try to finger palm the coins. I leave them right there with my thumb on them, because you don't want them to make any noise. So that one is, again, real simple. I'm giving you a very brief explanation, but it's here. Push, those toss out. This stays here. And now for the first coin production, I don't do anything but say the first coin goes, if I give it a shake, the first coin goes across. Now I just push it up and show it. And now, if you listen, you can hear the next one go. Leave it in your fingertips, and then just shake it, toss it on the other coin. Then you hear it go. And now you're back into the trick. So the second method is, again, you would palm all of them, let them fall off. Now, so what you do here is, you're going to, as you go to toss the coins in your hand like that's what it's supposed to look like, but what really happens is this. One coin stays palmed in the hand. As you drop the coins onto your fingertips, you want to drop them so that you can do the Benzeas friction move with one of the coins. So again, you've got one coin palmed. These coins just fall naturally to your fingertips, and then you toss the two in your hand. This one stays. And then your hand goes to a rest position at the side. And that, if you did it that way, then you'd say, look, the first one goes, and how I would do this would be put my thumb on that coin and show it, keeping the caps subtlety, which means that you've got a palm coin here. So you do that, and then for the next one, you just let it fall into the hand. That would be the second one for that method. The other method using the palm is, if you can do this, it's a little harder, and that's when you push them into your hand, you push them a little harder. As you let them fall out, you don't let them fall very far, and I kind of jockey that second coin so that it lands backwards a little bit. So now I just palm both coins, toss them across. What makes that better for me is that if I have it like that, two coins fall to my fingertips. Now I can take my thumb and put them on those coins and toss them across. It's more visual when you do the toss across, so that they see this. So it's like you show your coins, toss them into the hand. And now you've got two coins palmed in the right hand. So you would just let one coin fall, show it, again, cap subtlety, shake, next coin falls. Now you're back into the trick for your ending. So that's those two. Ross Bertram did a very unusual thing where he had the coins, and he'd spread them on his hand one at a time, and he would steal the coin back. Like a Vernon also had a version like that. I don't like it, doesn't fit me, so that's why I kind of changed the beginning part of this trick. Now, one of the things that I do with this trick is I try to bring their expectations down, and it's a very quick trick. I don't do it as some coin tricks I do when they're like, I want them to watch different parts of the trick, pay attention here, not pay attention here. This trick is done very quick. I'm kind of only getting to the ending. The ending is the most important part. So to me, the whole trick is a very quick setup to lead them down a garden path to do the last move. That's the reason that I don't have I didn't put a third move in there, because over the years, I've had different variations where I actually had a version where the third coin went across magically, not the visual way. So that's why I do it the way I do it. I hope you enjoy it. That is Unicoin, a tribute to Ross Bertram. Okay, so the credits for this trick, I'll give it very kind of brief. It's basically Ross Bertram. He would be the main credit for this effect, the idea of doing a 4-coin in your hands, coins across, where the last ones all jump back, kind of have a backfire. That's pretty much Ross Bertram. It's in his book. The brown one, I think it's called Methods and Magic of Ross Bertram, or Magic and Methods of Ross Bertram. John Carney was the first person that I saw do this purse palm, the Vernon / purse palm thing here, to do that with 2 coins and show it as one. So if I remember, John Carney was the first person I saw do that, and the only other person I've actually seen do it. So that is the credits, and the rest is just me playing around being an idiot. So hope you enjoy. See you guys next time. you are watching this, you have just purchased the download of Chr1s. If you did not purchase this download and you have copied it from a friend, we are installing a computer virus in your computer in right about 3, 2, 1, right about now. I'm just kidding. That was actually my virus, not really the computer virus. Chr1s is originally based on an effect that I published in the book Totally Out of Control, and then I later came up with a better version of it, and I put it in another book called The Pass by Gary Ulett under the title Chr1s. It's a pretty simple method, it's a pretty cool thing, and the effect is great. You take a card, it's stuck in the deck, and it's left sticking out of the pack, and it visually rises to the top. So I hope you enjoy. This is Chr1s. To do this, all you need is a pack of cards, and we're going to use the Queen of Diamonds. The effect is pretty simple. The Queen goes in the pack and rises to the top. But to make it a little more effective, we're going to leave it sticking out. So as you can see, I'll put in a couple of cards from the bottom. And all I've got to do is give it a little shake. It comes up about halfway. It's seen right now, it's about halfway. Again, a little shake. Rises almost to the top. Again, the last one. All I've got to do is give it a little blow. All the way to the top. That is Chr1s. Many years ago, Homer Lewag, a very good friend of mine, did a trick which I think is an idea of Jeff Latta, and that is doing an elevator effect with a card sticking out of the deck using the pass. So the effect was basically you stuck a card out and you would do a pass as fast as you could, as many times or a couple times, and the card would slowly rise to the top as you do the pass. A couple people had versions with a cover pass. I never really liked it because it's very difficult to do a pass that close with people staring at your hands. So no matter how well I thought I could do the pass, I really kind of just passed on the effect. But I'm pretty sure that's a Jeff Latta idea. So Homer did it and it looked great. So I started kind of playing around with the idea, and at the time I was working on the SWE shift out of the Expert of the Card Table, Erdnase book. So I thought, what a great combination of moves. I'll take and I'll leave a card sticking out at an angle, and I'll do the SWE shift, and the card will still stick out. Now the problem with that is the SWE shift's kind of hard to do, and it's also a big motion. I mean, it's a big motion to cover it. But I got it down pretty good, so I published that in my book Totally Out of Control. And then it's kind of one of those things where I kind of forgot about the playing with the effect, because when I first played with the move, I practiced the SWE all the time, with the card sticking out. So then I just, one day, it just hit me, wow, wouldn't it be great if this would work? And I went in front of a mirror and stuck a card in the deck, and it just automatically kind of worked. And I was like, wow, how come I didn't think of that back when I was playing with this trick? So the method, that's the reason that I'm holding the deck like this, which is in like an SWE position. So it wasn't like I thought of that at the beginning. I'm going to hold the cards like this and have a card stick out. So the method is pretty easy. You have a regular deck of cards. You take any card. It can be at the end of an ambitious card routine, in lieu of an ambitious card routine. By itself, it kind of stands alone pretty good. And you leave a card sticking out of the pack. Now you're going to hold the deck in a kind of a strange position. Your thumb on the side, on the long side, your pinky, third finger, and second finger on the sides. Now your forefinger is going to do something a little strange. Now at first, like when you're showing the card, after you put it in a few cards from the bottom, you have it on the bottom of the pack. Now to do the move, you're going to need to reposition this finger to on the actual card. But what you do is as your hand comes down to show like this, that's when I move that finger up just a little bit. So now my fingers are kind of touching each other. I have the card like this. My second finger and then my forefinger of my left hand. So you're just kind of holding the card like this. So I'll put it in there. Again, I show the card. My second finger goes right on the card. And you don't want to be, you can't be too far in because you can't really do the trick when it's like this. It has to be sticking out about 3/4 of the way. So as close to the edge as you can, your forefinger is going to be here. Your second finger here. Now to do this move, what you're going to do is the card sort of stays still, and the top portion all stays still. The bottom portion just does this. All you're going to do is very simply, your forefinger and your second finger are touching, and your other fingers just sort of rest casually on the side. So I've got my pinky and ring finger. So you've just got in sort of a pretty natural position here. Now what you're going to do the move is you're going to lift up in the back just a little bit, half of the pack. So as I lift up, I'm actually not really lifting up, you're sort of lifting down. But as you lift down, you break the cards. Now you're going to keep pushing, you're going to pull the bottom section out as you push your forefinger and thumb together. And then you bring the cards back underneath. Now it's kind of hard to explain, but it's pretty easy once you get that grip. So once you've got your finger, your forefinger and your second finger together like this, you lift a little bit of the break. Now you just pull them out, square it back up. So the movement is really only about that far. All you're really doing without the card is taking the deck and going like this. And what's happening when you do that is, since that card is staying still, you pull it out, push it right back. So now you show, and you basically do it again. You break that section there in about half, pull it out, put it right back. Now once you get it down really well, you'll be able to do it with very little movement. So instead of giving it such a big motion, you can barely move it. Just give it a little tiny movement and the card will rise. You just barely have to pull it back, just enough to clear the card and then put it back. Just enough to clear the card. Now it's very important, once you've got it about 3 or 4 or 5, 10 cards from the top, you need to actually get it underneath the top card. So to do that, you simply just lift the top card, do the move under the top card, which leaves you ready to do the final card. Well, originally I just did the same move to get the card to the top, but a friend of mine, Brett Wolf, had a very, very good idea. So this is the way Brett suggested to end it. And that was, again, you're pinching between your same exact position. You're pinching between your second finger and your forefinger underneath. So all you're going to do now is you're going to pull this card back with your thumb. So the top card gets pulled back with your thumb and then brought back. And that's how the last one goes through. It's that simple. So basically you just, again, you're pinching it between your ring and forefinger, or second finger and forefinger. So as you come up to blow, you do this. Here, back underneath. And that's very visual because what it looks like again is here, come up, come back down, goes through. Now I'm going to go over a couple of tips with this again. So again, you're going to start with your card almost in the bottom. You've got your grip, your forefinger and your second finger touch. Now you pull out. So again, from this side, this is what it looks like. You just pull it out, put it back. Pull it out, put it back. It's really pretty simple. Once you get the basic idea, all that you're doing is pushing pressure like that, slide out, slide back. So we'll give it to you from a very top angle. Pinch. That's all it slides. So you see it's barely going half the pack of cards. And you cover that by giving it a little bit of a shake. So a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a shake, a little bit of a shake. Then your last move, you're done. Another thing that I kind of do is I put a little bit of pressure. You don't have to do it this way, but there's a little tiny bit of pressure on my ring finger on the card. And that's just to kind of, it's not really pressure, but it just kind of keeps it in place. And then for the last one, you don't have to do this, but when you're learning it, it helps. Is that you push a little bit of pressure, but if you push too much, the card starts to move. So I put a little pressure, just very little between my thumb, my ring finger, my right hand, so the card, so a little bit of control. If you put too much pressure, the card will pop up in the air, so it's kind of hard to do, but it does help keep the card aligned. So that's basically it. And another obvious tip that's as you're getting your break, you don't want to lift up like this. You really want to lift down with the card. But you don't want to lift down too far because this card starts to angle. It's kind of a delicate thing. If they see you lift up from the front, you'll see they'll notice that you're doing something funny. So right before you go to get your break, I'm usually here, and as I angle the cards, that's when I bring the card down, do the move, show. As I come down, again, I'm going to break this one in half. So I do it as I come down, do the move. Now you do it again under the top card. That leaves you for the last one, which is just boom, boom. There's your trick. An obvious tip is to move the cards as little as possible. So since you only have to clear that far, that's as far as you want to go. And you first practice, a lot of people tend to do this. They tend to pull way out and go back. You have to realize you barely have to clear it. All you've got to do is clear that card. So try not to do this. Try not to go. So another thing that's you need to think about is you're trying to move the top portion as little as possible. So it's all done where the bottom moves. So your bottom is the section that's getting pulled out and put back. So again, slow. This is all done slow. Bottom gets pulled out. It's not really something that you would probably present for a very, very large group or completely surrounded. It's kind of a quick one-on-one or several people if you stand back a little bit, because your angles are pretty decent on your right side. From your left side, if someone's standing directly at your left side, they're going to probably see it because they're going to see this. So you want to just kind of be aware of your angles. Move yourself a little bit to the right if it's for a small group, but I tend to do this one-on-one or just for basically one person. So you look at them like they're kind of a camera, and you point if the deck is facing them like this, there's less to see because you're just doing this. So you're just kind of doing that anyway. So if you're looking at them straight on, it's the best. So you want to kind of point the edge of the card right at the person that you're performing for, and then. Okay, my final thoughts on Shifty. A couple of things on the crediting. Again, like I've mentioned before, the idea of doing it with a card sticking out of the pack and it raising up slowly is Jeffrey Latta. Another thing that I think I should mention is Ray Cosby has a version of this with one hand called Raise Rise. It's very difficult to do, but it's incredible. So if you get a chance to look that up, Ray Cosby, Raise Rise. And I think several years ago, Shigeya Futagawa published a version where the card was stuck out elongated like this instead of canted at an angle like this. So that's the history, that's the tips, and that is Shifty. We'll see you next one-on-one.